Hi, everybody. So, welcome to the Tech Talks, the official student run technology podcast of the Wharton School, where we host forward looking discussions that enlighten and inspire. I'm your host, Mahima Singh, and today I'm joined by Sakshi Jain from Amazon. Introducing Sakshi. She's the head of go to market strategy for North America at Amazon Web Services, where she leads strategic growth initiatives across one of the world's largest cloud platforms. Prior to AWS, she served as an associate partner at McKinsey & Co., where she spent over 7 years driving large-scale transformation for healthcare and technology clients and delivering over $500 million in impact. She holds an MBA from the University of Chicago Booth School of Business. Early in her career, she held roles at Microsoft. Sakshi brings in deep expertise in technology-enabled transformation, operational strategy, and building high-performing teams. So thank you so much, Sakshi, for sparing time from your extremely busy schedule to be with us here today. It's such an honor to have you. And with that, I will begin the questions. Thank you again for joining us. So our
Yeah,
first set of questions is focused on your career journey and inflection points. And the first question to kick off, could you walk us through your career journey? And I know I already touched some points, but would love to learn your perspective and what were the key inflection points that shaped your path?
of course. And Mahima, first of all, thank you so much for having me here. I was in your shoes very much, 7 or 8 years ago. So excited to be talking to business school students who are just starting their career here today. I think reflecting on my career, and I went through a recent shift, so I had a lot of reflection to do. Um, I think it's truly wanting to learn and be intentional that drove all my career decisions. I'm an engineer by background. I started in technology, but not in a traditional way. I started as a seller at Microsoft. And this was at a time when Microsoft was just going through its cloud transformation. So got early exposure to cloud, early exposure to being in front of customers, being cross-functional, which was I think was a very good learning curve. Did that for a few years, and thought it was still early in my career to specialize in technology, and that too in selling technology. Wanted to see what else is out there, what other functions, industries exist that might be exciting for me, and that took me to my next journey, which was at McKinsey. Um, came into McKinsey company as a consultant thinking I'll do it for 2 years, learn everything there's to learn and go back to technology. That did not happen. I ended up staying for 7 years almost. And through that time, met the learning need that I had, did a lot of random walk across different industries and functions. But I think what I enjoyed the most reflecting back was the 3 years or so that I spent serving cloud and SaaS companies on just strategy topics like how do you grow, what markets do you enter, how do you structure your sales teams. And then last year, I got to an inflection point where I felt I have learned what I came to consulting to learn, and I was itching to go back to the industry, especially with AI. And every day, something's being introduced, something's changing. I was just ready to jump in again. And reflecting back on the work that I enjoyed the most at McKinsey, it made me feel I do want to be in tech. That's been my entire career arc, and now is not the time to leave. Um, I did realize that I enjoyed growth topics the most. And those two things, along with wanting to be in a place that still moves fast, got me to AWS, Amazon Web Services. And now, for the last 9 months or so, I've been leading strategy for our North America business, which is close to a 40, $50 billion business. And I'm answering questions with my team on how do we go to market in this changing world? How do we think about AI and win with AI? So just an exciting time to be, and I'm excited for all the learning that comes ahead.
Thank you for sharing that. Thanks a lot. Looking back, what decisions or risks most accelerated your growth?
Um, I don't know if I don't think I took a lot of risk. If you look at my resume or my career arc, I think I took a little bit more of a traditional path, if I might say. But I think going back to what I said in my first answer, right? It was just being intentional about what I wanted to learn at any point in my career. Starting as a very young 20 something professional in my first job, I wanted something that would give me the most space to grow. So I joined Microsoft, but in this rotation program. So it wasn't I will join knowing exactly what I wanted to do, but I wanted the optionality to see the entire gamut and decide what was the most exciting. And that did give me an opportunity to be cross functional. It gave me an opportunity to be in front of clients very early on, and that's something that I thought I enjoyed even when I got to McKinsey, and I benefited from. I think then second, when I went to McKinsey, that was coming from a place of I know tech, I'm educated in tech, I have worked in tech, now I want to experience other industries. I remember consumer retail was one that was on my wish list when I joined McKinsey. um, and it took me a year to land a project in that space, but I did, and I enjoyed it before I decided to go back to tech again. But I think it's that intentionality of what is it that I wanted to learn at every point. And similarly, when I made a decision to move to Amazon, it was AI is changing the way we operate, and I want to be in the thick of it all and learn how to be a leader in this ambiguous time. Um, so yeah, I think that's what I would say. It's just being intentional about what I wanted to learn and going after it.
Thank you for sharing. That's so inspiring. So, was there a particular moment when you realized AI would meaningfully change your industry or your own role?
I think it's also recent. I feel like AI is only 4 years old. Perhaps it's been there longer, but Chat GPT launch is really what changed it, right? For me, specifically, I think this was at a time when I was, as one of my extracurricular activities while I was at McKinsey, I was leading a part of our firm's AI adoption. I won't go into the specifics of it, but we were evaluating how to improve productivity of our consultants using AI tools. And as part of that, one of the things we were doing was building the adoption use case. Like, how are users using it? What are the use cases that are hero use cases that everyone can benefit from? And as I was listening in on some of those interviews, just hearing how people were changing the way they work with AI. And I had already been an associate partner at that time. So it had been 6 years since I'd been an associate. But I was hearing stories of how associates were using AI and almost cutting 10 hours per week. That was a aha moment where I was like, okay, AI isn't just for fun. I'd been using it more as a personal assistant, asking questions, plan my trip, where should I go for dinner, and things like those. But that was the first time when I thought, okay, this is really going to make the difference between being successful, being productive, being efficient. Um, yeah, and since then, coming to Amazon, I'm just seeing more and more use cases of it, and it's disrupting the way we work every day.
Thank you so much for sharing that. What capability has compounded most over the course of your career?
Very, very good question. Um, I had to think about this one, honestly, and I think for me it's very personal. It's it's the ability to ask questions and not have to pretend to be the expert in every room I'm in. And it's taken years to build this capability and feel okay with it, because you have this imposter syndrome and you feel you need to be the expert everywhere you go. But 7 years as a consultant, being put in front of clients that, of course, know their business so much better than you do. And now, as a strategy leader at Amazon, I'm constantly working with cross functional teams where they have years of expertise than I would. Like, one day I'm talking to solution architects, one day I'm talking to marketing. Can't pretend that I know their job, I know their day to day. So, just coming in, being, being, uh, being clear about I may not be the expert, but I can connect the dots. I can ask questions. And once I'm asking questions and we're engaging in a dialogue, I can just use my problem solving skills and help people work together better. I think that has been the biggest unlock for me.
Thank you for sharing. That's just very, very inspiring. Moving on to our next set of questions. It is focused on industry trends and getting a strategic perspective on the industry. So, what major shifts are happening in the industry right now that leaders can't afford to ignore, by your perspective? And
I mean, I could just go on about AI, but let me call out three changes right now. I think number one is just nobody's buying cloud and infrastructure anymore. People are building the foundation for AI, and whoever and let me explain what I mean by that. Like when you adopt AI, you build the infrastructure for cloud. You AI is using the most data right now, so you are collecting a lot more data and having to store that data, and you are making decisions based on that. There is a research that will say that 40% of organizations would embed agentic AI into their workforce by end of 2026. So really, it's a question now, specifically as I sit in the job that I sit in at Amazon. Whoever wins the game for agentic AI is winning the game for cloud and infrastructure. So I think that's the biggest trend and shift that we need to be prepared for. I think the second one is more inward, which is AI does have a promise to improve productivity, and it is raising aspirations for how productive our sellers can be, how we're constantly reducing cost of sales. So really being able to one, use digital signals. So our sellers are not spending hours researching who to reach out to, when to reach out to, which persona is making decisions in a client's organization. Having AI be able to even draft what a pitch deck could look like, send it on our behalf, but really harnessing all these AI solutions that are being experimented with but haven't been used full scale. um, that would be, I think, the second biggest trend that I would think about. How do you harness those tools and really use them to improve productivity and drive more efficient cost of sales for your organization? And I think third is just everyone's talking about it, just a capex investment being made with AI. Uh, in the four biggest organization, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Meta, they will be spending more than 50% they've spent last year and more than the GDP of Sweden on AI investments. And this is just these four companies. This is not even enterprises all over the world that are investing in AI. So AI is here to stay. We're now just trying to harness it and improve productivity and unlock human potential basically with it.
thank you so much for sharing that perspective. That's so valuable and learning from a former McKinsey consultant, a McKinsey associate partner. Moving to the next question. How is AI reshaping the competitive dynamics in your space?
I think AI is basically just making it harder to be differentiated, right? Earlier, what used to take years is now taking months. You have a product differentiation within months, someone can catch up. You have cost efficiency improvements within months, someone else can catch up. So I think that's the biggest advantage or disadvantage of AI, is how I'd put it. And I think what's differentiating companies now is three things, I would say. I think one is, how do you make data equitable and ubiquitous for your organizations? Because AI agents as good as the data that power them. That's number one. That's how you drive differentiation. I think number two is, how are you training your AI to be more accurate, to hallucinate less, to be more, to be quicker? Is your AI taking seconds or is your AI taking minutes? And I think the third thing is just, do you have a culture where you're empowering your workforce to use AI, work with AI, and just learn really fast with AI? Um, it's interesting though, because I feel like we know this, and I think almost every organization is talking about it, but it's truly less than 20% organizations that have really cracked the code on how you use AI to drive competitive differentiation.
Thank you for sharing that. It's really valuable. Now, where do you see the most durable long-term impact of AI in your industry?
AI is not going to replace the people, but the people using AI will replace the people not using AI. That's how I think about it. And to the point that I was making earlier, knowledge will become ubiquitous, right? So now it's not who is learning or who has skills. It's more who is learning faster and continuously. Um, for us in technology and in all other industries rather that are leveraging technology, it'll all become about our organizational processes. How much are we investing in our employees learning, unlearning, relearning continuously? How are we investing in data? Not just data about our systems and processes, but data about how we've contextually made decisions over the years. I'm reading more and more about contextual AI, which is AI is not just answering your questions or leveraging the data you're providing it to give you better outputs. It is getting smarter on years of the organization operating. How did it make decisions? How did the board make decisions? So now it's helping you actually conceptually think, which is the next, I think, the next wave of benefits that we'll get from AI. And I think third is just empowering your teams with as many tools as you can. So they're making AI their sidekick in everything that they're doing.
Thank you for sharing that additional perspective. It's truly, truly valuable to learn. Our next bucket of questions is focused on how you personally leverage AI and how have you professionally adapted to it. So that's the first question. How are you personally leveraging AI in your day-to-day professional life?
I am using, I think, AI for four kinds of things. One is research, of course. In a strategy role, there is so much research that you do for everything. So using it for that. And I typically will triangulate it across two different agents to see which one's giving me more accurate answers. And I'm also training them continuously. When I get the response, I'll tell them, no, next time I need more data points in the response you gave me. So that's one thing I'm continuously using. I think second is asking questions, and I have a space that I've created within my Amazon set of agents where I put all my documents that I've written, that I've received, and instead of traditionally I would go and open a file and search for something, now I just prompt the AI agent and it'll give me responses. So in this one document, when we said XYZ, help me remember what the stat was, something like that. I'm now just using AI to do that. And of course, in my personal life, also, I'm having AI plan almost everything and even test my thinking. Um, I think the third way in which I'm using it is to just write documents for me. Amazon is a space where you write docs. And now I just have AI draft the first version. So I'm spending my time refining and tightening versus writing from scratch. Um, and again, with time, the agents are getting smarter about how I like to read things. So what I get is getting better and better. And I think the last one is just helping me check for bias. So when I came to Amazon, I had to build my team entirely, and I hired around 5, 6 people over the course of the last 8 months, and I would just constantly take the same structured nodes. I had the competencies I was testing for, and I started having the agent just test for bias and give me their recommendation. So I'm just validating what I was thinking, what I was feeling coming out of the interview. I think those are the four ways in which I'm using it. I am not using agentic AI as much as I would want to, apart from some very specific Amazon things that I'm doing that I can't talk about right now. But that'll be my next journey with AI.
Thank you for sharing. Next question. How has AI changed how you make decisions, manage teams, or process information? And I know you shared some of it, but any additional perspectives?
I think how I make decisions, check for bias. I think that's number one. I'm doing that in my personal and professional life. If the more the agent knows me, the more it knows how I think, and it is becoming almost my thought partner and validator. Like I would go to my husband typically for things. Now AI can also validate me and how I'm feeling and thinking and making decisions. I think how I process information, I spoke about that. Like I'm using it for research, for asking questions rather than traditionally going and finding documents, and for writing my first draft of things. So I'm using my time for more inference. In terms of team management, I think it's more. I have a team of strategy folks. Everyone's working on their own things. Um, and now with AI, we're creating spaces where everybody has access to what the other person's working on. And when you're working with the agent, you're not just benefiting from your own research, you're benefiting from others' research. So again, it all goes back to data. As good as your data is, your AI will be even powerful and stronger. I think that's how we're really helping our team benefit from what everyone is doing and just be more efficient in the work they're doing.
Thank you for sharing. Thanks a lot. Next question. What advice would you give to professionals who want to meaningfully integrate AI into their own workflows?
I think one thing that I would say is that use AI not just as an agent, but to truly, truly automate tasks that are repetitive. And I feel like early in your career, you do have an opportunity to do that. Like, for example, if you're writing reports, like as a seller, my first job as a seller, I used to forecast every week. I am updating the same Excels. Now I can actually, if I were back 10 years ago, now I could actually have AI where I am updating what is happening after a customer meeting, and ideally my forecast continuously is updated. So while I haven't moved past chat agents as much as I'd like to, I think that is the unlock for folks. So if people are starting out, just trying out agents and truly being able to say, I am fluent with AI. I know how I use AI, and it's a teammate or a sidekick in everything I do will be one. But I think number two, very important, and I have wrestled with this a little bit. AI can answer all our questions, but ideally it's not replacing the critical thinking that we as humans can do. So find the balance. Use AI to take care of the repetitive task, but really have it free up time for critical and creative thinking. So we are still building our differentiation, that I still have the skills that I can come in, look at an ambiguous problem, and find a way to structure it and solve it.
Thank you for sharing. Thank you. I think it's really, really beneficial for professionals at all levels, the perspective you gave. And with that, I'm going to zoom in on early career professionals. So, if you were early in your career today, how would you position yourself?
I think this entire podcast should be an AI podcast, because every question
It
AI
is an AI podcast.
Um, so I think I would basically say that you want to be AI fluent, right? Ideally, you're positioning yourself as someone who's at the intersection of AI, business, and execution. So you don't just understand AI conceptually, but you're someone who can translate into real business outcomes. Because the premium is truly like from shifting knowledge to applied leverage. Like you can use powerful tools and actually change how the company operates. I think that's the huge promise of AI, but very few are able to unlock it and use it. So that would be the biggest thing I would say.
Thank you for sharing. What skills or experiences should students and young professionals prioritize right now? And I know you shared throughout, but to summarize.
Um, I think two things. One, be fluent with AI. If you have the time right now, I would say every week try a new agent. Like of course, there are AI tools for chat, but then there are AI tools that can help you with vibe coding, that can help you almost create new worlds that don't exist. That can help you in fashion, in video, in so many different ways. But if you have the time, try out one tool every week and just really develop strong perspectives on whether they work, if they don't work, why do they not work, and if you were to do the job that you aspire to do, how would you use these tools in your day to day? And I think to truly believe, maybe it's my consulting background, critical thinking is the one thing that AI should not be taking from us. I think that is what will drive our own differentiation in the years to come. So absolutely keep investing in that.
Sounds good. Thank you so much for sharing that. So now we're going to move to our rapid fire question round. So let's get ready for this one. Um, what is the one AI tool you use regularly?
Um, Claude in personal life and Quick in my professional life. Quick is an Amazon tool, and using it, like I said, for answering my questions, helping me just plan my life, and just writing the first draft of anything, emails, docs, whatever I need, so I can just focus on improving.
Thank you. What's the one tech trend you're paying close attention to?
How people use AI as their teammate and agent, right? Like these days, agents are making their own agents, and it's a meta world that we're living in. So I'm just paying attention to how people will differentiate themselves with using AI, not just for the basic asking questions and doing research, but to automate their task and free up time for more strategic thinking.
Thank you. Build, buy, or partner? What's your instinct in AI right now?
I think big proponent of partner or buy, but customize. I
Okay.
don't think we're at a point where building makes sense because enough people have built at this point. I think it's so much more about be very clear about what you're trying to accomplish, buy the solution that helps you get there, but then really retrain it on your company's context knowledge. And what I was saying, like AI is powerful when it understands years of decision making that have happened. That can't happen through partner or buy. It has to be buy and customize.
Sounds good. What's the boldest tech prediction that you have for the next 5 to 10 years, even if it seems like a total moonshot to everyone else?
I don't think it's a total moonshot. I think it's pretty clear, but for there's a lot of myth around AI will replace jobs. I don't think that will be the case. I think moonshot for me is in 3 to 4 years. I feel almost all the code will be written by agents, will be tested, quality controlled, moved to production by agents. Agents will run other agents to do that check and balance, but I think it will mean we just need more and smarter humans in the loop who are then defining the vision for what these agents are working on, defining the requirements for what the agents are working on, and guiding them to get to the conclusions that we want them to work towards.
Thank you so much for sharing that. That's wrapping up our interview today. Sakshi, thank you so much for being here today. It's been such a pleasure and honor to host you. Um, for our viewers, if you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe, rate, and leave a review on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. You can follow us on the official Wharton Tech Club LinkedIn and @Wharton Tech on Instagram to stay updated on upcoming guests and new episodes. And once again, thank you so much, Sakshi, for making time amidst your super busy schedule. This was so inspiring and just so much to learn, and definitely a delight for all of you. Thank you
Of
so much.
course. Thank you so much for having me. Have a great day.
Thank you.